Today, of course, marks 30 years since the Hillsborough disaster. 96 football fans were killed by the crush at an FA Cup match in Sheffield. On the day of the tragedy, hundreds of Sheffielders stepped forward to help the victims and their families.
One of them was Pat Hunt from Bradfield, who volunteered to support the family of Tony Bland. He was from Keighley and, of course, became the 96th and final victim. Ahead of the anniversary, Pat was reunited with Tony's father. This is her story.
On the day of the Hillsborough tragedy, there was a public call for local people to help because there was a recognition immediately of the scale of the tragedy and that local people were going to be needed to help. We were going to be introduced to one of the families as they came into Sheffield looking for their loved ones. Alan had been watching the match and he knew exactly where his son would be in the crowd because he had a particular position in the cop, the way he always liked to stand. So Alan knew exactly where he would be. So he was sat at home watching on the television, knowing that his son was right in the middle of the tragedy. The first thought was, is he amongst those who have died? And in order to find that out, they had to look at photographs and we were in support, so we were looking at photographs of the 95 victims, which was a profoundly harrowing process, almost impossible. And we found him in the intensive care unit, something like a dozen, 15, 16, mostly young men, all in deep comas. So it was an extraordinary action, or an extraordinary moment where Alan was thrilled, full of relief, very, very emotional to find his son, but it was immediately clear how ill Tony was. We went the following day, and the following day, and the following day, and the following day. We continued to go, and one of the wonderful things that started to happen was that most of the young men in this bay started to recover from their comas, but Tony remained in a deep coma. Within a very short time of starting to support the Bland family, I made my own decision that actually this was work I wanted to do. So I decided at that point to retrain as a psychotherapist, and now I'm working for the professional organisations of psychotherapy at a UK level and also at a European level. And I don't think I would be doing this if it hadn't been for the Hillsborough tragedy. I was very touched when they said that they couldn't have got through the experience without me. It was Alan who said that, which is an extraordinary thing to say. I've phoned Alan last week because I have seen him a couple of times over the years, but I thought that I would like to go and visit if he would wish me to. But it was quite hard to phone because I realise how much I'm stirring up memories whenever they hear my voice. So I phoned and immediately Alan said, "I'm so glad you've called because I've been thinking of calling you." So I have arranged to go and visit them just a few days before the 30th anniversary.
Oh.
Wonderful to see you.
And you. We've met some lovely people under the wrong circumstances. I've had people cross over when I've been walking down because they don't know what to say. Time and again I was going to give her a ring, but then something else cropped up. But it's lovely to see her again. I opened up, I bet she thought she was married to me and I thought, no, the way I went on. But she was really good.
It's wonderful. It's quite wonderful to come and visit Alan and to see you looking so well and to feel that there's a close connection between us. Wonderful to experience. Oh, you fell at the first. I do remember the incredible amount of support that the people of Sheffield gave in all sorts of small ways. Help, support, warmth, love, tears, because it touched everyone in the city.
Yes, it did.
Volunteer Pat Hunt, remembering the 96 Hillsborough victims 30 years ago.